What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. I've got a new setup over here. Yesterday, I got on my standing desk. You guys can see I can move around. I'm actually on a treadmill, so I can get myself a lot shorter too. So it's going to be very new, dynamic details to the show here and how we portray everything. But we got a lot to talk about here on this fine Saturday morning. First of all, Bitcoin back below 100,000. Now, as we're working on this right now, as we're recording live, Bitcoin does look like it's wrestling. It wants to get back up there. But there is something to say about the fact that Bitcoin has struggled to maintain an above $100,000 level. In fact, we haven't even closed at this point a daily candle above that $100,000 mark. What does that mean? Does that mean that Bitcoin's about to sell off? We also know that altcoins have had an amazing run recently, altcoin season, as we've talked about. However, we cannot ignore the fact that the charts have put us into overbought territories. We're hitting a lot of our take profits. We're getting overextended. A lot of these coins on normal circumstances want to sell off. And I'm seeing a growing unrest in the community that people are saying they're a little scared that we could see a major crash happen, and they want to make sure to take profit before that happens. So if you're one of those people, if you're concerned about where Bitcoin and crypto are going, this is going to be the perfect episode for you. We have a couple of stories to go through, but overall, we're going to really just look at some charts, answer some questions, talk about what this part of the market really looks like. But first, you got to make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I've got to hit the intro. All right, I see in chat, somebody says, does Tim sound echoey? Do I sound fine to everybody? Does it sound a little off? Give me feedback on my microphone. Again, new setup, had to unplug everything from the computer last night as I'm setting stuff up. So I thought I plugged everything back in correctly. But hopefully, yes, I hear back shots. Back shots. Why would it say back shots? Let me make sure that my microphone is set on the wrong setting. How about now? You guys like me now? You guys like me now? It's out when you unplug some settings and then you come back. The microphone didn't automatically connect. So I think you guys were hearing me through the computer. So yes, absolutely, I had some echoey sound there. My apologies. As you guys know, T-Shroom is out on vacation. He's getting himself a nice December cruise with his new wife. So he's having a blast. It's me running today. Smay's not working Saturdays. You know, we love having Smay back, but I'm a big believer in boundaries and people being able to be very clear with what they're able to do and not do. And it was a big condition to him. He gets to rest on Saturdays, which I love, by the way. I love that people take rest. I mean, I'm a big believer in hard work. I work very, very hard, but at the same time, I'm a big believer that you have to have at least one day to rest. Sometimes, you know, some people need the whole full two days of the weekend. But love that he's getting some rest. He's been working very hard. Love having him on the team, but it's just me today by myself. Crux, I think, had some sort of doctor's appointment or something, but we're going to have a lot of fun here answering a lot of questions that chat has been asking. Again, I see some mixed results even within our community. I think the majority of you guys are still bullish. I think a lot of you guys are still riding the bull train, but you're questioning, hey, at what point will we pull back? Even if we don't have a major bear market, could we still see another 20-30% move to the downside? In which case, some of you guys are looking and saying, I would really like to take profit before that and maybe buy that dip back up. But today, we're going to answer all of those questions and go into those details. Let's start off by just monitoring what's happening in the market right now. We got a sea of green here today. A sea of green, a lot of green things in here. MOG was our big mover yesterday, still up 13.9% in the last 24 hours. HBAR and BGB look like the biggest gainers here. BGB up 21, HBAR up 18, XRP up almost 10%. Got some bigger moves there. Algo 14%, Caspa 7%, Popcat. We got some memes. Floki, Popcat, Mog, Whiff over here hiding behind me. If I can grab it and move it out there. Got some movements of the memes. Nothing special, but they're showing signs of life. However, we go over and look at some charts. Let's just kind of flow through a couple of these. People are a little concerned, even out on the weekly chart. Again, we haven't closed, as I said, a daily candle on Bitcoin above $100,000. We've now had several days with wicks above 100,000, but we cannot close a daily candle above there. There also was this huge doji candle. Anyone who's in our VIP trading group, but specifically our ultimate members and our Algo Bros Plus, right? So if you're taking the trading lessons, we just talked about doji candles here recently. And what doji candles symbolize is a time of indecision, meaning the market's not really clear if it wants to go to the upside or the downside. So we want to make sure we're very clear here. A big candle with high volume, communicating a lot of buying to get us over that $100,000 mark. But as soon as we got over, we couldn't even finish the day that high. Massive amounts of selling came back down. And as we told you months ago, there would be a lot of selling around both beneath, right at, and above $100,000 as people have had take profit levels for those prices for years. So let's really open up our logic caps. Let's make sure we're open to anything. There's a big thing that people get rug pulled on and get destroyed in the world of trading is they emotionally attach themselves to a direction in the market. Some of you have just decided that Bitcoin is going to go straight up to 180,000 with no bumps along the way. Some of you have decided that Bitcoin is going to pull back. Let's get rid of emotions. Let's get rid of previous decisions. Let's just look at the charts. Let's look at the history. Let's look at what's happening in the news, and let's analyze what the future looks like. But I wanted to show you, if you go to the weekly chart, we're starting to see almost every single project hitting some major levels of take profit. You can see the Lux Algo take profit up here. You can see the oscillators are extremely high. In fact, one of the things I want to show you guys on one of the new bros indicator, right? So we have our specialized personal indicators. One of the advantages of this is you have this box up top here that at any time, you don't have to go from chart to chart to chart. You can just see the different time frames where the RSI is. You can see if we're overbought, if we're overextended, if we're covering in the middle. And right now, while we've cooled off in the middle ones, the weekly and the daily are still flashing that we are overbought. And in fact, you're going to see this on a lot of coins. You're going to see this over here on Ethereum, 4-hour, daily, weekly, all flashing overbought. We're all hitting our take profit levels. We could go a little higher here with Ethereum, again, looking for 4,400 before we top out, but we're in the camp of overbought. You're absolutely seeing this with coins like Cardano, who's rallied here more recently. Let's see if that pops back up. You had 85 on the weekly. You can see it with XRP, who's had a massive runoff. In fact, everything on this chart except for the 1 minute and the 4-hour are flashing overbought. Sui, another coin flashing majorly overbought in these higher time frames. What's my overall point here? Let's go away from my screen for a second. My point is, anyone who's concerned about the bull market, anyone who's concerned that we're overextended and need to have a sell-off, I understand why you have that opinion. Because when you look at the charts, we have had an amazing bull run, but no bull market exists without healthy corrections. And in the altcoin space, you really could see healthy corrections being in the world of 40, 50%, and that's not even that crazy. But the question is, will we actually see it happen? Let's start off by getting into some news here and then getting into the charts. And then a lot of time today, I would assume, because I'm by myself, a lot of time today we should have some Q&A. If you guys have some coins you want to take a look at, you want to ask some specific questions about the bull market, about history, a lot of time here this morning. Really quickly, though, a super chat from BC Port Core, I don't know if that P is silent or not, says, you think we'll see less... we think we'll see less of an alt season given that TradFi markets are unable to rotate capital in the alts and see the known run when retail buys. Good question, BC Port. So the way that's going to work, so what he's kind of getting at, if you're questioning what he's saying, and historically, this is the first bull market where we have massive institutional adoption. It's definitely the first bull market with ETFs, which of course you can't just take your profit from ETFs and then right at the moment you could go roll it into Ethereum's ETF, but there's no other ETFs to go it into. And if you're buying a Bitcoin ETF instead of Bitcoin itself, more than likely you're not a candidate that's probably going to go sign up for a Coinbase account and go buy a bunch of other altcoins. So that's a very good observation there, BC, that we probably will not see the Bitcoin dominance chart fall as far as we have in the past. In fact, let's go take a look at that really quickly and talk about it. Let me share my screen here again. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart right here. Again, why are we saying we're in all season? Well, Bitcoin dominance fell from 61%. Now it's down at 55. I think we're going to go down. But historically, back way back in 2018, we actually briefly went all the way down to 35% dominance. Back in 2021, we went to 40% dominance. There's a chance, I'm not going to guarantee this, but there's a good chance that Bitcoin might only make it closer to 45 to 50% this time. Let's put a little box there. We're just going to monitor 45 to 50%. That's going to be our box. We're going to keep an eye on. Let's go ahead and move this over. You can see we drop down into our zone pretty quickly, and then we bounce and make some moves here. So I wouldn't be surprised if sometime March or April, Bitcoin has made its way down to this box, but then we spend a lot of time just in here over the rest of 2025. And then we kind of decide later, do we want to pop back up? Do we want to go lower? My guess would be we go higher. But to answer your question, BC, I do think that this is going to be a season where Bitcoin's dominance has a higher floor. I think 45 to 50% is probably the realistic target for the bottom of it because of the massive institutional adoption into ETFs. Again, we just reported yesterday or the day before, I can't remember which because all the days run together, that the ETFs now, if you combine all of them, hold the most Bitcoin of any holdings, more than Satoshi Nakamoto, who he owns 1.1 million tokens of Bitcoin. There's a lot of Bitcoin exposed to ETFs. So that's going to limit it, but you have to remember there still is retail out there, and retail, and even some institutions who have gotten into, owning crypto through traditional routes, they're going to see the better potential for gains in the altcoin space. So I still think we see a sell-off in Bitcoin dominance. I know some people think that we're taking a small bump right now and we're going to increase. I could see that happening. I just don't think it's going to. I think we will have a somewhat traditional lower Bitcoin dominance as altcoins peak, because also remember, while some of these institutions are holding Bitcoin, a lot of these institutions are backing some of these big, real world asset coins, for example. I think XRP is a big institutional coin. I think Solana is going to have some massive institutional, adoption. We're going to talk about that one here later on the show. I think you're going to go and see, XR or Chainlink is definitely going to have, AVAX is going to have, Ondo is going to have some institutional investment in it. So again, do I think that we're going to crash to 40%, 35% dominance on Bitcoin? No, but I do still think that there's going to be an alt season where we transition all of that. So very good super chat, very good question. Hopefully I answered that. Let's keep going on here, and let's take a look at some news stories that are causing people to have some concern right now about Bitcoin. Then we'll get back over to the charts. Traders right now are split. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're floating through X, you see this, but traders are split as Bitcoin price flirts with 100K threshold. You're going to see a lot of people saying, just hold, just buy, it's going to continue to go up. We have nothing but to the upside, but there's going to start being some signs. I showed you the charts. The charts are showing us some overextended marks. And we also have some respectable influencers out there telling people, hey, this is not the time to buy Bitcoin. We probably will have some sort of correction. People like Kaleo, Crypto Kaleo. I don't know if that's actually how it's pronounced. I've only ever read his name, but he said, do not buy Bitcoin right now. Let me say that again. Do not buy Bitcoin right now. The price is skyrocketed to 100,000, and so-called experts screaming for you to jump in are nothing more than opportunistic predators. That kind of sums up. I don't need to really go further into his tweet. What he's pretty much saying here is that if you are going to buy every single time you just see a bunch of influencers say buy, and you're not going to think for yourself, you're going to end up getting wrecked one way or another. Now, I find myself kind of in the middle of these two. We're going to show on the charts. We're going to look at the history and talk about what the future is. But I still think there's a chance that we could have a dip down towards 85,000. I'm leaning away from the probability being high about it. But again, with us not closing a single daily candle above 100,000 just yet, with us coming into the weekend and things can kind of move and go back to the downside, people really shouldn't rule out 85,000, 80,000 still being in the cards. Now, when I hear people talking about like 50,000, 40,000, that's when I start to say, hey, this is ridiculous. But you might also be saying, Tim, does that mean we should be selling our Bitcoin right now? No. And the reason why, and this is going to stress some of you out, and it's going to make some of you upset, but the reason why is because we don't really know what's next. Again, we had that major doji candle is the last big indicator with high volume, which means we have indecision. Indecision means we could go up or we could go down. And people hate when technical analysts say that. They hate when we look at the charts and say, hey guys, this is a spot where we could go up, could go down. But if you want to make money in this market long term, you have to be okay with that sentence, and you have to understand what to do with that sentence. So in this case, we really could. Let's go back to the chart while I'm making this point, and then we'll keep going on in the news. But you could easily, let's go to the daily chart here. Did not mean to draw there, so I'll have to clean that up later. You could easily see Bitcoin price go to the upside, right? We have momentum right now. We are going to the upside. I don't like the fact that we are trickling kind of almost in a zone right here to the upside, almost like a rising channel, which traditionally is bearish. But we could break this level of resistance and skyrocket to the upside. We also could lose this support and fall to the downside. The overall thought here is, do you want to take profit right here, just beneath $100,000, and risk by the time you're going to buy back in, we've rallied up above 110, 120, 115. All right, do you want to risk that, losing your already good position for the chance to add back in at 85, 80,000? I'm going to say no. I don't think that's the wise move. In fact, in my history of investing, I've tried to do that before, and it bit me in the butt, where I thought, man, if I take heavy profit right here, we're going to get a 20, 30% pullback. I'll be so smart. I'll buy in a lower and I'll make some extra money. And then the price took off without me. I probably ended up costing myself over $100,000 in profits by making that move, trying to gain maybe an additional 50,000, right? So the question is the risk worth it? And I'm going to tell you right now, in a could go up, could go down scenario, if I have a good holding of Bitcoin, if I have a good holding of what I want, I'm not looking to sell. I'm looking to say, all right, if we drop below the support level, that tells me any dry powder I come up with between now and then, I'm going to deploy down here at 85,000, because that'll just add into my great position. If we rally to the upside, well, good for me. I never sold. I'm continuing to maintain those steady long profits. Again, people hate hearing could go up, could go down, but that is the sentence you need to hear to understand how to operate correctly. And in the world of gambling, which investing is low-key educated gambling, you want to make sure you're processing and using good risk to reward ratio. Risking losing out on your gains and being wrong, to me, just does not outweigh the profitability of if you were right and you took profit now and bought back at 85,000. I just don't think it's going to be a long-term win when I'm assessing the different options there. But let's keep going on here, because again, that's kind of the growing sentiment. There's a split. Some traders are going bullish, some traders are going bearish. But there's another reason why some people are concerned, and this one, it's something that definitely should be keeping an eye on, is Cointelegraph reporting, and I've seen several people now on X complaining about this. Breaking Coinbase users report account restrictions and inaccessible funds, fueling concerns over customer service and security as legal scrutiny mounts. What does this mean? Coinbase is freezing people's accounts, not letting them take profit, not letting them add to their bags. A lot of times, I'm not saying always, but a lot of times you see Coinbase and other major exchanges shut down at either tops or bottoms. And this clearly is not a bottom, right? We're clearly not in a spot where Bitcoin has bottomed out and is overextended to the downside. So this has a historical track record of mounting a local top. I'm not talking about the bull market top. I'm not saying this is the end of everything. I'm just saying this has a way of kind of working itself to be a potential for a local top, and people could see a big sell-off. Let me know in the comments, though. Does anyone have a Coinbase account and you've had your account frozen in the last couple of days? I'm interested. Mine is good, right? I checked on mine as soon as I saw this headline. Doesn't seem like I have any problems whatsoever, but other people are complaining about their app not working, their accounts being frozen. Let me know in the comments. Reading chat here for a second. On Biseft, I don't think I read that right. Said, Tim, the post from Kaleo is a joke that some random crypto lady made. Okay, that's possible. Good catch. If what you're saying is true, good catch. I could pull up a bunch of other tweets of traders that are respectable preaching some caution. And again, even logically, it checks out the logic that 100,000 could have been a major level of resistance. And I say could, right? There's a chance that we end up just blasting through it, and that's why I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin. But I don't want anyone. The reason why I keep talking about 85,000, 80,000 is not because I want people to sell their Bitcoin and then go down there and buy it. It's because if Bitcoin does start to fall, if we do lose 90K, there's a lot of people who would freak out and capitulate and sell off. When in reality, when you're looking at the charts, 85,000, 80,000, there's reasons, there's liquidation levels, major levels of support that we could go down that far and then bounce and be completely fine, right? So the reason I talk about this and I'm warning people is not to tell them to sell, but to be aware of the possibilities of what Bitcoin could do. And if you're aware of the possibilities, you keep your mind about you. If you're unaware, then you freak out and do something silly like sell all your Bitcoin right before we reach a bottom, and then you miss out on all the major gains, right? So that's the side of the news right now we're looking at that's maybe, bad. But let's take a look at the Bitcoin charts and let's take a look at the history of what happens during this cycle. Now, this is something I just drew here on the charts. People need to be aware of. It's not perfect because we only have 2 touches on this resistance level, but you are seeing a consolidation move to the upside, a channel being formed with in a rising formation. These historically mount reversals. Doesn't mean always. We've absolutely seen formations of rising channels that continue to the upside. But it's another reason I want you guys to be cautious. I also want to just let you know, when you look at larger time frames, the daily chart actually shows us we could make another move to the upside. We're not overextending the RSI. We're not overextending on MACD. We're making some positivity moves on our Luxago oscillator. But we are overextended. We were hitting some take profit levels here on the daily charts. Luxago with the weekly chart I showed you before, we've hit the first level. We could go a little higher here, but we've hit that first level. You're going to want to be very cautious here over the next little bit. Let's check out lower time frames, though, which I have not done this morning, and see what they're kind of saying here. Recent bounce off the 4-hour smart trail is a move in the right direction. Oh, that's what I was going to say also. This is on the lower time frames, this is the other concerning thing to me. Not that it means it's over, but I want to make sure people are aware of this. We set another lower high right here, right? So we peaked up the other day on the 4th, all the way to 104,000, fell back down to 92 in a flash crash, came back up, and then our recent top was only 102, right? So we set a lower high, and that's going to be a reason to be concerned a little bit. Again, we've hit our take profits. It looks like we're making moves further to the downside. But our oscillators are also kind of sitting in a very boring spot where you kind of like that doji candle. They really could do anything. They could go up. They could go down. We're seeing on the Bollinger Bands, when I pull back up my ultimate and you go to the hourly chart, we are seeing some heavy constriction showing a big move is going to come. And with our oscillators being in the neutral spot, but the money flow being negative, this puts it in the camp of being in danger to move to the downside. That hourly chart is bearish at the moment beneath the bearish smart trail. This constriction means we have a big move coming. We're 100% squeezed according to our Luxago indicator as well. So watch for a big move. Don't make any moves right now. Don't buy, don't sell. Look for a big move. And what I would suggest is if you see a move to the downside, don't sell. Look for an opportunity to short. That's one of the blessings and cool things about being able to trade. You have your long-term portfolio that you don't touch. But when you see negativity during a bull market, you can easily just go and enter a short and create some extra dry powder to buy that dip later on. So that's what we're watching right now. We're under a zone of saying, hey, things could go to the downside. But if they move to the upside, if we go to the upside and start to spark, I think at this point, I've talked about 110,000. Who cares about that one? I think we're really looking at a move up towards 120K. If we get a positive breakout, if we can sustain a move above 100,000, I think the move would be then to 120. And then we reevaluate. Do we need to see that 20% dip back to 100? Do we keep blasting through to 150? But that's our kind of watch right now. 100K, key resistance. Can we close some daily candles this weekend or early next week above there? If the answer is yes, then great, 120K coming very, very soon. If the answer is no, continue to watch for 85, 80,000. This box, I got to move this box actually. Let's move this one right in here, right? 85, 80,000. That's going to be our box to watch if we make a move to the downside. Do want to let you guys know during this time period, the other reason why I'm a little hesitant about Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about other alts here in a second, but the reason why I still have concerns about Bitcoin, if I can, I'm just backed up too far, is that traditionally around this time period of alt season starting, Bitcoin has had these larger pullbacks. Nothing crazy, but again, historically, both in 2021 and in 2017, 30% pullbacks. The pullbacks we've had so far were 10 and 12%. Not anything close to what I predicted, around 15 to 20. I still think at some point we will see a Bitcoin pullback of 15 to 20%. Does it happen right now? Does it happen after we hit 120? But this is the time period where we should see some sort of a correction, even historically on the charts. That being said, though, let's transition into some altcoin talk. We have some temporary bad news, I guess, but it kind of still has a silver lining. Major setback for Solana ETFs as SEC plans to reject pending application, but there's a silver lining. What's the details here? Well, in the article, the bad part of it is Fox Business journalist on X, journalist took to X, this is talking about Tourette, to reveal that SEC has informed at least 2 of the 5 Solana ETF applicants that their approval process for the form of 19B4 filings would not proceed further. This means that the top Wall Street regulators will reject the filings in this anticipated January 2025 decision. While the SEC updates indicates a temporary hurdle for Solana ETFs, that the anonymous source told Tourette that the SEC is unlikely to greenlight any new crypto-based exchange-traded funds under the current United States administration. So what are we saying here? Guess what? The SEC is denying the Solana ETFs. We've been talking about those. It's been one of the reasons why we think Solana could fly here very soon. But they're denying them. But the detail that you need to be aware of here is they're denying them because they're probably going to deny everything between now and January 20th when a whole new team takes over. If you're wondering about that, former crypto-friendly SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins is set to replace current chair Gary Gensler in January. With Atkins at the helm, there's an increasing optimism that more crypto ETFs could hit the market. So while this is technically a bad news at the moment, it's not really bad. It's kind of common sense approach. Gary Gensler and the current team, they are working on transitioning out. They're not working on actually studying and reviewing and making sure they're approving the right ETFs. They're just going to default deny everything, knowing that the next group, the next chair, Paul Atkins, let him make this decision. So look for all these filings, even though they're going to get rejected, look for them to refile some later January, early February, and I still think that those get approved. I think Paul Atkins will be a pro-crypto chairman for the SEC, so don't need to worry too much about it. Let's take a look at Solana. Solana is one of the few charts, if I'm not wrong, let's recheck all these indicators, though, but it's one of the few charts that's not necessarily flashing major oversold levels. Take a look here. My box where you can look at all the RSIs. Nothing is overbought except for the weekly chart. And even the weekly chart's only sitting at 66. 66 is not massively overextended, right? So that's not a reason to be concerned. Whereas almost every other crypto was sitting in a spot by saying it was overextended. Solana's not. Now, there is some bearish divergence in play right here. But this is what gives me a lot of hope for a bigger move to the upside here for Solana. We had been in a falling channel. Remember that rising channel I showed on Bitcoin and said, hey, these can traditionally be moved to the down. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, the tragedy of running the show by yourself. All right, let's do this again. Everybody. Not overextended. This box in the top right corner. There we go, everybody. Nothing's overbought except for the weekly, and the weekly's only at 66. Okay, not a very bad move whatsoever. Let's focus on the channel right here. The channel is what makes me really excited here. Big move to the upside coming. Falling channels are bullish. Rising channels are bearish. This one has a breakout projection for Solana to continue its way above the former all-time high, getting up above $300 before hitting next resistance. The only thing I'll say is we are seeing some weekly bearish divergence. The oscillators, again, aren't overextended, but that bearish divergence should not be ignored. The only thing I would watch for, though, and keep an eye on is, I guess we did have bearish divergence back here on the weekly chart back in 2021 that gave us some signs of the top, but there was also some miniature ones on the daily chart. Let's go back over here. Let's go back over to the daily chart and look at what it was saying. Yeah, early signs on Solana showed us some bearish divergence in here that did not mark tops. And maybe marked some short-term move tops, but nothing that marked the top of the total bull market. I think that Solana still has a long way to go to the upside. You're taking a look at these oscillators here. In fact, while we didn't get a good reversal So we're not going to call this an official buy signal. Solana on the daily chart has printed bullish momentum and positive money flow. These are things that give me a lot of optimism about how high it can get in the short term, at least back up here to 267. But as I said, as I go to the weekly chart, with the exception of the bearish divergence, I'm really seeing more signs that we could pop up over 300 on Solana very, very soon. And again, this is a coin that while everything else was running, it fell back, right? Solana paused almost. You zoom out, there's no reason to be bearish on Solana. Right? This is still an explosive bullish chart. It just paused because it was overextended. Now it's time to go ahead and start moving back to the upside. I told you guys I'm not going to be surprised over here on CoinMarketCap, where XRP surpassed Solana just a week ago. Would not be surprised to see XRP take a little bit of a break and Solana pass it back and see a wrestling for the rest of the bull market between XRP and Solana for that number 3 spot on the CoinMarketCap space. But that's Solana. That's one of the few coins that I would almost look at right now and say, could it fall back a little bit? Yeah, it could fall back a little bit. The worst it could fall back down to, I would say, is back here to this former resistance and support level around 184, where the smart trail is going to. But this is one that's overextended. I expect it to continue to pop back up and move to higher levels. The truth is, I really think that we're going to see this happen with almost everything. You can go to Link, where Link is hitting its take profit levels. You can make the argument that the oscillators are overextended, although I'll say the weekly chart still has room to the upside before it gets overextended itself. The daily chart right here, hitting its take profit levels, but not giving us bearish divergence, not giving us any major sell signal at the moment. I would say a Chainlink is a candidate that you could see it lull. You could see it pause and stay up here, but I'd be very surprised if Chainlink fell back below $22. Why? Because this is altcoin season. Altcoin season, even for Chainlink. Let's go back and take a look where it kind of was in this part of the cycle last time. We're thinking January of 2021, what was happening with Chainlink. You go back to January, this was mid-major bull market, right? So end of December, early January, we start to take off. We had a week here and there that was bearish, but overall, not a lot of negativity whatsoever until later on in February, where we finally got ourselves a decent, healthy correction before the top would come in May, a 44% correction. All right, that's what I talked about earlier, is when we correct on altcoins, you can easily see 30, 40, 50%, and it's still a part of a healthy bull market. Even right back in here, you would say Chainlink exploded back in March of 2020. Look at this pullback where we saw pretty major 63% pullback on Chainlink, and it still set a higher high and higher low. So with these moves, can we get overextended? And can we say, hey, it's time to correct? Yeah, but we lived in overextended territory throughout the entire bull market on Chainlink, on ADA, on XRP, on all these things. Well, XRP is a bad example because 2021 was bad for XRP, but you get my point. We're getting into the camp of being overextended. We lived in overextended almost the entire bull market as a whole here. What I would keep an eye on is the daily chart. If we do get a sell signal on the daily chart for Chainlink, that's when I will look for a potential regrouping. And I'm seeing a lot of support on the daily chart, a fair value gap, a bullish breaker, and the daily smart trail all coming in here around $20. That's going to be my zone. I think I said earlier 22, but I'm going to reassess this. $20 if we have a correction. That's kind of my 85K Bitcoin level for Chainlink. $20 is my level there. Does that mean take profit currently at 24 and wait for $20? No, that means we could explode to the upside. So hold on to your current bags. But if we fall back down to 20, that's where you want to add to it with all of your dry powder. Let's keep going on here, though. We have some more stories that I wanted to take a look at, and then we'll get into some Q&A. We're at 11:30, and I'm gonna leave a lot of the show for you guys to ask questions. So we're gonna kind of go through this, and then I'll throw it to you guys. Justin, U.S. Treasury compares Bitcoin to digital gold. This is a reason to be bullish here. The primary use case for Bitcoin seems to be a store of value, aka digital gold. So it's good to see. I mean, we've heard a lot of political, senators and congressmen, women, obviously President Trump and a lot of his staff have come out very, very bullish, but seeing the U.S. Treasury now kind of back this up and say, yep, Bitcoin's a lot like gold. Hopefully we see Senator Loomis's bill get passed and the United States government starts to sell some of its gold holdings for Bitcoin. This would be very, very awesome to see in the U.S. government. Let's keep going on, though, and some other things going on. What was I looking at here? Well, I don't know. I was looking at shout out to Altcoin Daily. I don't know why I had this page up. Maybe I was looking for something and I didn't find it, but that's not anything there. Yeah, so a recent report, December 6th coming out, U.S. government told banks to suppress crypto. Coinbase documents show. I'm not going to go into deep details. I did do some highlighting here. Ultimately, what you need to know about this story is Coinbase did get it revealed that what I have been saying about 2021 was absolutely true. The U.S. government was telling banks to suppress crypto, telling banks not to deal with it. This is that concept of, at first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then they join you. The evidence is coming out. If you didn't believe me, I think most of you already were in that camp, but we now have official documentation. We have evidence that Bitcoin in 2021 was suppressed. Crypto was suppressed. Guess what? All of that is gone. What do I do with this information? I've said this a lot. I'm going to say it again. I think there's a lot of you out there who your first bull market, myself included, by the way, like I didn't invest until 2020, but our first bull market was 2021. And we saw the results of 2017 and we saw the results of 2013. And a lot of us talked about Bitcoin going above 100,000. There are people out there saying we really should get towards 200. And there's a lot of evidence why Bitcoin should have hit 200,000 in 2021, but it didn't get there, right? It got nowhere close. Didn't even hit 70,000. And so I say that people got this crypto trauma in 2021, meaning that they are convinced that the 2021 bull market is the new normal expectation moving forward, that we will see disappointments. I've even interacted with people who say there's no way Bitcoin goes above 150K in this rally. There's no, all the predictions we made here with very bullish market caps for crypto, there's no way we get anywhere close. Some people are saying even $6 trillion market cap for crypto is absurd. And the reason they're saying that, I understand. I feel their pain because I remember that pain of 2021. But this is evidence that was a special time in a very negative way, where no matter what we did as retail, we were fighting against giants. We were fighting against the wealthiest wealth managers in the world. But guess what? This time around, they're not fighting us anymore. So all of our bullishness is going to go into the market, but now all of their money is flowing in as well. Again, can I make this a perfect expectation? No, I can't, but I am a big believer that we will see an extended bull market. I'm not saying we won't see a local top in March or April and we won't have a 20, 30% sell-off. I'm not saying that we won't have another one at the end of the 4-year cycle in September, October. I think there will be a pullback in the crypto markets, but a bear market is when that pullback sustains for at least a year. I don't think we see a year-long fall in price at the end of 2025. I think we pull back 20, 30%. And then the institutions, they buy up all the holdings of those retail capitulators and the price takes off again into an extended 2026 bull market. Does that mean hold all of your Bitcoin? No, I'm going to take some profit at the end of 2025. I'll probably take a little bit of profit in March and then hopefully look for a dip and buy back in. But my point here is you should not be surprised if/when we get into the year 2026 and we're still hitting new all-time highs in the world of crypto. Just wanted to put that out there, and this is the evidence of it. We are now confirming there was U.S. government suppression of cryptocurrency. That's going to wrap up the news that I had here for today. A lot of the stuff I want to throw to you guys. We'll take a look at coins that you want to take a look at. My overall thought, though, is when you look at this title, a lot of you came in here saying, Tim, are we about to crash? And the answer is not as bad as some people would think, but there's a chance that a correction does happen. Bitcoin, again, this part of the cycle usually has a 30% pullback, one that I think we're more mature. I think we only go 15 to 20, but that's absolutely still on the table. A lot of these altcoins, it is not uncommon for them after these massive 400, 500, 1,000% rallies that some of them had. It's not the end of the world or even crazy for them to pull back 30, 40, 50%. So what I want you to do is be vigilant, looking for good entries. I think there's going to be a lot of blood in the next couple of weeks and months where certain coins drop, but I don't want you to give up on them. I want you to seize the opportunities. If there is a crash, if there is a big pullback, this is the early part of the bull market. This is where millionaires are made. When you buy the dips, don't buy the peaks, don't FOMO in, buy the dips. And those dips come in the form of crashes. So be prepared for that. Let's engage with chat here for a little bit. It's always hard when I'm by myself to engage and see what's going on. So you guys have been chatting up a storm, and I don't know what's happening. Got 1,000 people in here. How many likes? How many likes do we have? 300. I mean, for 11, actually we have 1,100 people in here. That's a pretty bad ratio. Smash the like right here, guys. Smash it just right there. Hit subscribe as well. If you're new, thank you so much for being here. The Bros community is one of the fastest growing communities of just amazing individuals who want to get wealthy themselves, but also help other people do it as well. I'm here to help serve you guys to the best of my ability. Am I always right about everything? No, I'm not. In fact, I get things wrong a lot, but I also get a lot of things right. And I want to just help as many people as I can honestly process the market and make as much money as they can. So if you want to be a part of the community, hit subscribe, join the Discord. Let's look at chat. Morgan Powell says, Tim, what's your guess on the blow off top for stacks? What's your guess on the blow off top for stacks? Does stacks have a blow off top? Let's go look at it. It's been a minute since I looked at the stacks chart. Let's show my screen. Not going to make that mistake again. All right, no, that's not a blow off top. I mean, I guess you're going to say like a short-term blow off top. Maybe. No, I wouldn't call it a blow off top. If you're asking, do I think there will be a blow off top? I do think this is a bull market that probably is a better candidate for a blow off top, similar to 2017 and 2013 than it is the kind of rounded top that we had in 2021. But again, I wouldn't call that a blow off top. Let's analyze what the charts are looking like though. See what's going on. I always start with the oscillators. Some things to be aware of. Very, very high here on the oscillators. The RSI is 100% overbought at the moment and rounding after hitting 77. Doesn't mean we can't have one more peak and get a nice bearish divergence, but it is rounding. The MACD is rounding and going negative. We could have a bearish cross here for the first time since back in October. But you are seeing weakness on an overextended MACD. And then this one. This one's not a sell signal yet on the daily chart, but you do have the reversals. You do have bearish momentum. And then on the money flow, it's not just the money flow is flat, it's flattening out. This always concerns me that a move is coming to an end when I see a light green or light red space, because these is excessive buyers, or on the red side, it's excessive sellers. And look what happens when you have that. You usually have a good jump, not only in the oscillator, but in price as well. So with us being massively overextended here, in fact, we have not been this high since way back in February. With us being this high and getting kind of almost like a bubble, I would say, here on stacks, there's a chance that this stacks run needs to have a decent little cool off here on the daily chart coming soon. Not happening yet, right? We could go a little higher technically before this happens. But what I would watch for is a potential pullback to the smart trail, and that would bring us back down here between 224 and 212 would be my estimate there. Another thing I want to take a look at, I've not used a lot today. What are the liquidation levels kind of looking like here with some of these coins? We got some heavy liquidations down at 245. That would be very interesting, even for a short-term move. And then some more. Remember, I said the smart trail here, but we could wick a little bit below and get back towards $2, where we would see, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of liquidations. And remember, this is stacks. So some of you are saying, oh, that's not that much. Well, on stacks, it's a lot, because stacks doesn't have anywhere near the volume that, say, Bitcoin does. So losing, and that's going to be over $1 million down here, $1 million worth of liquidations. That's pretty significant. This one actually does have millions. Let's go look at this one. 28 million, no, 1.5 million and 768. So this is like, there's over $2 million of liquidation sitting right here. That's significant. I feel pretty good about a pullback back down here towards 243. And then again, if we get that sell signal, which if a move down here probably would get us, you are looking at this camp in the 220, but down liquidation at $2. You might want to buy a little bit right in here around 220 and a little bit down here at $2. Save a little bit of dry powder for that in case that happens. So that's what I'm seeing here on stacks. Shout out to Morgan Powell for the question. Let's see. I don't know. Clark Bent said this man is smart AF, best TA. I don't know if you're talking about me, Clark, or if somebody else in chat, but thank you for that compliment. There are more questions here. So guys, you asked a question earlier. I am but one man. Ask again. I'm going to give you guys permission not to spam, but like if you have a question I've not answered, every 3 to 5 minutes, repost the question. El Thoro tagged me, said, do you think when Bitcoin, that's something, if you tag me, tag at Tim Warren, I'm in chat. I'll just say, hey, so you guys can see my name, tag me. And that makes it a lot easier to see questions. But El Thoro says, Tim, do you think when Bitcoin will have a sell-off, alts will go bananas just in January 2021 because we've entered an alt season? Well, here's what I'll say. Alt seasons can present themselves in different ways, El Thoro. I'm not saying that we have to have a Bitcoin sell-off. This could be such a strong Bitcoin market that Bitcoin doesn't really, it just pauses during alt season and alts go crazy. And we've watched that happen. And the evidence of that is this. I think this is the only part of alt season I think is the guarantee, is the Bitcoin Dominance Chart plummeting and losing major support. And again, as we said earlier in the show, maybe you weren't here, my target is not going to be back down at 40%. Or 38% like we saw back in 2021, 2022. I'm thinking 50 to 45 is the zone we're falling back to. And then we kind of just trade sideways, very similar to what we saw. Maybe we bounce up, maybe we do something like this where we actually drop all the way to 45 briefly, but then we bounce back up to 50 and we live up there. Then we fall to, 45 again, but we kind of just bounce in this range until the next bull market. And then we continue to the upside. Yeah, historically, Bitcoin crashes when the altcoins start to run in alt season. But I would make a bigger deal of saying the Bitcoin Dominance Charts, the bigger indicator that we're watching, the price action secondary. And in this case, again, there's just so much bullishness for Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin, that 12% pullback we had yesterday, if that was it, that could have been it. I also wouldn't be surprised if we get that full 20% and go down closer towards 80K before we resume. So wish I could answer that better, but that's what I got for you. Up and Adam says, Tim, how are you doing this morning, brother? I'm good. I'm very good. Again, new setup. I'm on a standing desk now, so you guys can see me. I can do a lot of different things. I actually have, I'm standing on one of those walking treadmills, so I'm not going to be one of the guys who walks during the live show. I would distract myself if I did that. But when I'm prepping and stuff, getting some extra steps in. So I'm good. Got my setup. I was up till midnight setting all this up, but still had good sleep. Cat in the Hat said, Tim, KAS TA, please. Let's do some KAS TA. I see that super chat. Let me set up KAS real quick and I'm going to read it. What do you think about Magic Eden airdrop and TGE on Tuesday? Can ME be a top 50 coin? Know nothing about it, Shizzy. I'm so sorry. Maybe Crux does. I don't know if Crux is still in chat. Thank you for the super chat, but that is not something I know that much about. Let's do some KAS TA. Remember, I still have this marker on, and that's going to be the bane of my existence. All right, so we're tracking right now on KAS, and we're breaking out here today. So this is a good sign. We have been tracking a longer-term inverse head and shoulders pattern where we had a nice little left shoulder dip back here in September. We had a bigger dip happening with a bigger head here in November, early November. And then after coming back up and forming a neckline here around 17.6 cents, we had another little shoulder right in here play out end of November. And now we're working at breaking above the shoulder. Well, what you do with inverse head and shoulders patterns is you take the depth of the head to the neckline, right? So in this case, the head came all the way down to 10 cents. The neckline's up here at 17.6 cents. You move this over to the breakout, and KASPA, if it starts to catch fire, could make its way all the way up here towards 30 cents in this formation. Even better, when we turn on this indicator right here, we are overextended on everything right now on the shorter time frames, but even the daily and the 4 hour, which all these, the way this triggers is it turns red over 60, but you're really not crazily overbought until you're in the 70s. But what I love to see is the weekly chart. Like, this is going to be a big sign to me. Like, if the weekly chart is not overextended, unless the weekly chart is in a free fall, let's go see what it's doing. It's not. It's on its way back up. We got guys. All right. This is a very good sign right here. We got some buy signals going on here on the weekly chart, and that's what you love to see as an investor, as a trader, no matter who you are. We're on our way back up here with the RSI. The MACD just crossed bullish again. Oop, hit the wrong one. Let's go look at the MACD. MACD just crossed bullish again, being the lowest we've ever been on KASPA's weekly chart. That's awesome right there. And then this is the big one. This is the one that makes me money. This indicator right here, bullish reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a buy signal. Now, the weekly take profit has not flashed yet because we're under a sell signal currently. from over here that was a bad sell signal. That's another good sign, ladies and gentlemen, of a bull market. When you get a bad sell signal, that tells you the bulls are stronger than the bears. As soon as the bears show signs of strength, the bulls reverse it right back up. My guess, though, is that this buy signal is going to put us in this world of 25 to 30 cents. So keep an eye here on 21, where we're going to see a trending rising level of resistance. All right, a top that we had, the high of July, but 20 cents or so, I think we blast on through. I think KAS has got some very good signs on these larger time frames. Even I'll go to the daily chart. Let's take a look what the daily chart's doing. It's living up here, but we are not seeing bearish divergence. The MACD looks like it wants to go bullish there. The Luxembourg oscillator is in a boring zone right here, right? Hovering just beneath 70 pretty much. But when this breaks out, it's going to break out, going to go up to, 80, 90, and we're going to see a bigger, overextended move, and then KAS will have its pullback. But again, this is also something to keep in mind your mind on with the newer altcoins. They can get overextended like this on larger time frames and then just go crazy. Technical analysis on weekly charts for coins that have not been around for a couple of years, you do have to take it with a grain of salt, I would say, if it's bearish, because it doesn't have enough analysis to really plan anything else in there. I would heavily lean based off the formation and lower time frame movements that KAS was ready to go. Also, fundamentally, this is a great project that's had momentum recently with a listing on Kraken. Everything else has taken off without it. I'm a big believer in, I'm not saying don't buy a coin just because it's rallied recently, but you don't want to FOMO in. You want to, whenever you see a big rally, then you see the bull market coming and you see the altcoin season coming, you take a step back and you say, okay, what are strong fundamental projects that have not made big moves yet? You find those, that's the one you buy. And I think KAS fits the bill on that. So very bullish on KAS, I think 30 cents very soon, maybe by the end of the year, but I think at least, sometime early Q1 of 2025. Another super chat here from Tim Meissner saying, Tim to Tim. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Chainlink top price this cycle. Tim, you might not want to ask me. Some people say I'm crazy. I saw someone the other day post a video that went even crazier than me. I have high expectations for Chainlink. I think that it's going to be one of the top movers of this bull market. It's one of the few coins that I still think has over a 20x left in it. That's a top 50 coin, or top 20 coin. It's like number 15 at the moment. I think it wrestles with the number 6, number 5 spot. Maybe it's number 7 or 8. I think it could surpass AVAX to be the number one. Not only it's the number one Oracle already, but the number one real world asset token. So I put a price prediction video out. Go watch it for some of the details. But the low end, I'm thinking like 200. Like if I get a little disappointed, if AVAX only gets into if it's like number 10, like 200. But if it pushes towards that number 6 or 5 spot on CoinMarketCap, 400, right? 400 is going to be the level. And we're looking at the current price of Link. That would be phenomenal here. Let me share my screen. 400 is where I have it going by the end of 2025. Remember, I'm a believer in the extended cycle. I think in 2026, it could go up towards 600, 700. But I'm watching this zone in here. If we get the low end, of where we are right now, let's say you bought right this second, you're still looking at the $200 mark of an 8X. But if we get the 400 or $500 level, I think, 400, let's go 400. 400 is still a 15X. 500 would be a 20X. Of course, a lot of my analysis we did was back in here, back when it was at $10, in which case now we're talking about if you bought back there when I made the video, we're talking about a move potentially of a 47, 48X, right? This is one of the last top 20 coins that I still think has a 15 to 20X left in it by the end of 2025. Could it go past that again? Could the bull market extend into 2026 and we go towards $600, $700? Absolutely. Could Chainlink take over and become the number 3 coin, end up having over $1 trillion market cap and go to like $1,000? Yeah, that could happen too. I'm less certain of that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that XRP and Solana, Ethereum and Bitcoin obviously as well will stay above Chainlink in this cycle. But let's watch what happens over the next couple of cycles, meaning the next like 5 to 10 years, and maybe we see something change on that front. Let me get a drink of water. Why don't I take a sip here for a second? All right. Yeah, you can call me crazy though if you want to. If you think, I've seen a lot of people say only $100. I've seen some people. I saw someone say $50 is the top of Chainlink. I'm like, okay, you're not a believer. If Chainlink only made it $50, it would fall. That would put it like it would fall out of the top 30. It would be like number 50 coin. I don't see that happening. Leslie says Doge seems sleepy. Should we rotate to something like XRP? Well, I wouldn't rotate to something else that's crazy hot, that's had a crazy hot run recently. Is Doge sleepy? Let's take a look at the chart. It's not sleepy as much as it's in a consolidation phase, but remember I said with Bitcoin, I think I did Doge TA yesterday. Did I do it on a live show or did I do it with one of our private groups? We do so many live streams now, Q&As, live trading with our membership. If you're not one of our members and you're not in our VIP trading group, you need to. We do a lot of content. Like I love coming on daily and doing an hour-long live stream on YouTube, but we spend a lot of time with our members, giving in depth with some trading and stuff. So I always forget which streams I talk about this stuff. But you know, Doge it's sleepy, but it's still high. But I don't love the rising channel or rising wedge. You know, you can make an argument in this rising wedge. I'm going to call it a channel here. Either way, it's not great. Either way, this is traditionally bearish. As you start to look at oscillators, this is the one thing I will say that's good and bad. As the oscillators cool off, but the price goes to the upside, you're putting yourself in a position where you could see the oscillators go back up and not get as high, but the prices go higher, and then the bearish divergence is what turns us down. But in the same breath, when you see this happening, you're not only creating higher highs and higher lows in the price action, you're creating lower highs and lower lows. You're creating both bullish and bearish divergence here. And with us being overextended and this money flow flowing negative with sell signals in place here, and we haven't yet touched the smart trail, I'm kind of a believer here. I wouldn't want to buy Doge again until it came back down to the daily smart trail. What's the weekly like? Real quickly, overextended, not quite ready to pop, but it's overextended. It's getting close. Could we make a move up towards 50 cents almost before rejection? Yes. But my goal for Doge would be if I can get a touch into the daily smart trail, that's when I want to buy. And again, there's a lot of signs here that Doge is one of the coins that should sell off. But then again, when you say roll into XRP, I think XRP's got some question marks about if it's ready to take a little bit of a dip here and go to its own smart trail. Again, reversals, bearish momentums, negative money flows. XRP really should come back down towards 180, $2 or so, and just have a little healthy correction there to the smart trail of the daily chart. Super chat Mog TA. There were some other questions on here. A lot of people, I love that I'm going to do a lot of Q&A coins here. I'll tell you this, though. If you guys want me to do more Q&A of your coins, you should join the VIP trading group. And there's lots of ways to do it. You can join through Discord memberships. You can get Luxalgo, again, the number one indicator out there. One of the cool features of Luxalgo, if you buy the ultimate package, it's going to cost you like, what is it, like $60 a month or something like that? But it comes with back testing and AI systems that you can input trading strategies, and it goes back in history and it'll give you the percentage of how many times that trading strategy worked, the profitability. And so it's almost like a cheat code to trading. So it's an amazing indicator, the best trading indicator out there. And when you purchase it with our link and you sign up in our Discord and tell us what your email was, you get free access to our VIP trading group. So if you want more random Q&A and more coin analysis on some of your favorite coins that I can't do on the shows every single day, go join that. Now, here's what I will say. I have been thinking about this. Let me ask a question. Then we're going to do some MOG TA, and that's probably going to be the last TA coin we do. We've tried really hard, T-Shroom and I, to create a great show for you guys that balances traders and investors. It balances charts and news. We're starting a brand new channel that Crux is going to be running called Alpha Bros. That is going to be really focusing on fundamentals. Would you guys like to see, I'm not going to say every single day, but would you like to see on the YouTube channel a little more charts, like a little more random Q&A on certain shows of the week? Do you guys like that we kind of pack the show with news and give you guys all the information you need to know? Give us feedback in the chat, in the comments. Actually, comments are better because we read those. I can't read all the chat. Comment on the video after this is over if you want to see more charts, more news. You like the show just as it is. Give us thoughts on what you would like to see changed But also, again, if you want more fundamentals, it's coming in January. You guys are going to be very excited about that. Let's do some MOG TA. Got to look it up. I've never done MOG TA. Never really needed to. I'm assuming MEXC's chart's going to be a good one. So let's look at that one. And we're just going to analyze this down, and we're going to call it a day here today. I see some questions about college football. I might give an answer on that one here in a second. All right, so MOG, it's hitting these highs, but right off the bat, I'm on the daily chart here. Some of you guys are going to see this. Some of you guys are going to be, looking at this and saying, all right, Tim, you've been talking about this all show. Is this in the same camp? Look at this trend right here. Could we go a little higher on MOG? Yeah, we could, but look at that trend right there. Look at this trend right here. It's a little bit of a channel here. So not only am I short-term bearish on MOG because we could hit this rejection and just move back down simply to the support level, but these traditionally have a way of going to the downside. And this is a meme coin that, took off back in February, has had steady higher highs and higher lows, but memes have a tendency, and Crux talks about this too with this fundamental aspect, memes top early, right? So a lot of these coins that I'm projecting and giving predictions for 2020, the end of 2025 and end of 2026, I don't believe that we will see memes last as long. And it could get pretty ugly pretty fast. Shout out to Caleb Franzen in chat. Caleb's going to be joining us on Tuesday, by the way, everybody. So come back Tuesday for Caleb Franzen show. Cannot wait for that. But back to the meme coins. They'll top early, right? So you want to be cautious. You want to be careful. You want to take profits early. And I'm not saying that MOG is going to top out for certain here, and then that's the end of the bull market. But I would say I would start taking profit on MOG. Let's take a look at some other things too here. But this is a very bad looking formation. If I'm being very honest with you guys, if we break above, things can change. But I have a feeling we're going to see some overextended levels here across a lot of different time frames. So yeah, daily chart shows we could go a little higher, but we're absolutely overextended. I mean, we're overbought. The MACD's close to the highest it's ever been. The Luxembourg oscillator has a little more room to the upside and does have positive money flow and no negativity, but we're getting that reversal and the oscillator's getting hot. So it's not quite dead there yet. I'm interested if we have take profit. Yeah, right there where we currently are is where our take profit levels are as we're running into this resistance. What about the weekly? Weekly says take profit just a little higher. In fact, the take profit could make its way. Oh, that's a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros before you hit a 5, 6, 5 is the top level of that. Again, it's a new coin, so the weekly oscillators, you can only do so much with them. Yeah, so it's not ready yet. I wouldn't take profit yet on MOG. I guess let's back up there saying let's not take profit on it yet, but I would say on touching this red line, if you see any type of volume come in that looks like it's the sellers, people are starting to take profit, you don't want to be the last one holding this bag is ultimately what I'm going to get at here. I don't know a whole lot about MOG. I don't know what the team is like. I don't know what the meme is. I don't know what the joke is. But remember, there's nothing. When people say crypto has no inherent value, if you're talking about meme coins, you're kind of right. They could pop off or fall back at any point. And this one's been around. It has enough trading volume that TA is useful. It's not perfect, but it's useful. But as we reach another level of trending resistance and a coin that is in a formation that's showing that it's losing momentum, right? The bulls are losing momentum with every push. I'd be cautious with MOG. Sorry about that broke your spirits and you're sad about it. Yeah, again, coin suggestions, guys. We're going to not do any more coins here today, but join the VIP trading group, and myself and several other pro traders look at several different coins, giving trade setups on them every single day. So you don't want to be in that group. Morgan Powell with the super chat said, break time over, back to the old 9 to 5 grind. Thanks, Tim. You had 9 to 5 on a Saturday? That's not 9 to 5. Unless you're not, I guess maybe if you're a weekend worker, but glad to see you here. Pepe price prediction. I need to look at a lot of numbers, Sri, before I could give you a Pepe price prediction. I'd have to look at tokenomics. I have to look at, I do think Pepe could be a top 20 coin, right? So I could give you a rough market cap for it, but I have no idea what the tokenomics are of Pepe right off the top of my head. But that would be an interesting price prediction video to do a Pepe price prediction. Oh, yeah. Blessed beyond measure. Said, Tim, what's a reasonable date that we can expect the Link ETF? Ugh. I mean, they haven't even mentioned it, right? They haven't even talked about it. Let's get Chainlink into the top 10. Let's get Chainlink pumping above $100, and then let's reconvene on that. Realistic, probably sometime in 2026. I think there's a lot of coins ahead of it. Solana, XRP. I mean, you could make a good case for, at this point, Cardano, AVAX could even get above it just because it's a higher token. I don't know. We'll see, but I would say end of 2025, earliest, more realistically 2026. But things could change between now and then, and Chainlink could pop off, and people could be going crazy about it. As we wrap up today's show, you're in transition. We're a crypto channel, but we love sports. At least I love sports. Today's conference championships for our college football teams. I'm going to give you guys my picks on who I think will win. I'm not going to show you graphics or anything because it doesn't really matter. SEC championship, we got Texas versus Georgia, a rematch. Georgia destroyed Texas earlier this season, but that was earlier this season. Also, I was reading a statistic that 70% of the time there's a repeat of a 70% of the time there's a repeat of a matchup in the postseason. The losing team of the first game ends up winning. The 30% that it doesn't happen, usually the teams are pretty outmatched. Texas is at least as talented, if not more talented, a roster than Georgia. I think they bounce back. I have Texas winning against Georgia, both going to the playoffs, though. For the Big Ten, Penn State versus Oregon, a lot of people have Oregon. I think that Oregon really only played one true test this year. Oregon played Ohio State earlier this season, beat them at home by 1 point. Not going to take anything from them. That was a great win. But other than that, I don't feel like they've been tested that much. Penn State's a good physical football team that's been tested more recently. I think that it's going to be a close game. I would take the under on points. I think a lot of defense in that game. And I would say that I think Penn State's going to come out on top. Again, both teams make the playoffs. ACC, very tragically, my Hokies did not make it. But Clemson versus SMU. SMU's had a great year, but had the easiest schedule in the ACC. Clemson's not going to win the national championship, but they're a better team than SMU. I got Clemson winning the ACC. And then, of course, the Big 12, ASU versus ISU. They both had streaks recently of being good teams, but ASU's been trending hotter later. I have Arizona State, ASU beating Iowa State for the Big 12 championship. Put in the comments what you think, though. I'm interested in what your guys' thoughts are. That's going to wrap up today's show. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like. We had, I think, at one point, 1,200 people in here for this Saturday show, which was awesome. We're over 500 likes. Love it. Get more likes before you go. With that said, though, we'll be back Monday. I think T-Shroom is still out. It might be me. Maybe Smay joins me. It might just be me, though. And then Tuesday, Caleb Franzen joins the show. You don't want to miss it. With that said, though, everybody, you have a fantastic weekend. Go watch some football. Go eat some food. Go love on your loved ones. And I'll see you Monday. Adios.